Hi, this is Brett from Parker & Sons. You might have questions whether your water softener is working properly. This is a couple of ways you can tell if you might be running into some issues. Number one, you might want to check the dishwasher, check your glasses. That's a good way to tell if you start seeing fog or spots, some things starting to show up that hadn't been there before. Number two, your faucets and fixtures. Are you starting to see spots on things that weren't there before? Three, a really easy one to tell is, man, my skin is kind of itchy, dry. It doesn't feel like it used to, nice and silky. It seems like you're using extra lotion. Number four could be, it doesn't seem like your soap suds up like you used to. You have to use more shampoo, or you're having to use extra conditioner. If any of those things seem to apply to you, I'll show you some ways that you can check. Or if you're just wondering, your system's maybe aging, or you've had it for a long time, or it seems to be misbehaving in some way. We'll give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to remedy those things. If you have a suspicion that your softener is not working, there's two real easy checks. The very first one is to simply come out, take a peek inside, and see how the salt level is. You can't believe how many calls we get where people have run out of salt. And they're pretty sure there should be salt in it, but many times there isn't. The second thing is check to see if you have what's called a salt bridge. Salt bridge is where the salt appears like there's salt inside, but it's actually hollow underneath. And I'll show you here in a minute how you can take care of that. So kind of a common thing to do is that you kind of bump the side of the tank. Many times you'll notice that the salt level hasn't dropped down in a long time. And what's happened is the salt underneath it is dissolved. It's really not there, but you can't tell on top. So what you do is get a broom handle or something and just kind of poke around, and you might hear it all of a sudden, gunk, a big salt shift will take place there. You need to make sure you've got enough salt or potassium in an ion exchange system to do its job. If you're running low, it'll go through all the motions, but you'll have hard water. Something to be aware of on a system that has water in it all the time, they tend to use more salt. They also tend to have maybe a couple of areas that might require more maintenance from time to time. This one has it right on the tag, but you want to make sure that on systems that have water in it all the time, don't fill it up too much. They really only like it full about 3/4. And there's reasons for that. It helps avoid that salt bridge that we were talking about. But then you also got to pay attention to when it's too low. Many times people find out they're low on salt because they go to use the water and they're like, oh, it feels sticky again or itchy. I'm getting spots all over. And that's because they haven't checked the salt or they have a salt bridge. On one that's a dry brine system, that's one you can fill all the way to the top. Forget about it. It takes the water out, leaves it dry inside, uses the least amount of salt and water. It's not always dissolving salt. So these use far less salt and water. So in anybody's water softener that's an ion exchange, meaning it takes the hardness out of the water, they'll have a media inside of it, and it's called resin. Resin, good way to describe it, it almost looks like it's an amber or a golden, like a BB, little round beads. And so this one will have X amount of resin inside of it, and this one also has carbon as well. A lot of basic water softeners only have resin. That resin can go bad over time. The things that make resin go bad are heat and chlorine. And here in Arizona, we've got a fair amount of all those things. So as softeners age, the resin starts to go bad. The control valve over the top thinks it has the same amount of resin that was useful as it did day one. But as they age, it becomes less and less and less. So you need to adjust your system based upon the age of the system. And that's something that you might be able to do. Oftentimes you're much further ahead having somebody come out and do it for you, readjust it. One of the very best ways to get a definitive answer if your water softener is working is to test the water. There's really three good, easy ways to do that. One, you can get test strips. They are very accessible, they're inexpensive. The second way is you can actually get testing equipment. It's really inexpensive. They sell it on Amazon. We'll give you a link here in just a minute. You can also just take it to a pool testing company. They'll test it for you for free. It's pretty common practice. Now I'll show you how to test the water. So test strips are a starting place. They're not super accurate. Kind of think of it as a pass-fail. Heat, age can really affect a test strip. But it's simple as dip it in the water, hold it for a few seconds, match it up, and look to see if it's any other color than no hardness, You want to pay attention to that. Using a test kit is one of the most accurate ways. We'll link it up for you, but kind of give you an idea how you do it, some of the very basics. This one, you actually will fill your hard water, pour it inside here. This is a measuring amount, so you're getting the right amount of volume. And then as you put the testing chemical in, what we're looking for is blue and staying blue. If the water turns anything but nice and blue, that's not a good sign. So this is my outside faucet that's untreated water. You can see it's not very blue at all. But what we do to find out how hard it is we'll add a drop. For every drop that I put in, that's equivalent to 1 grain hard until it turns blue and stays blue. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to kind of stir it around. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, start to turn 10. Yeah, it's getting there, pretty darn good. 10, that's maybe one more to grow on. 10, between 10 and 11 grain. What you really want, if you're testing your softener at home and you're getting anything different than really 1, maybe 2, it needs some attention, some finesse. All right, so we've given you a couple of ideas that you can check to see if your system's working. Those things are really designed for some people that are comfortable with kind of a do-it-yourself fix. If you're not comfortable with that, or that's not really in your wheelhouse, call a local water professional. Of course, if you live in Arizona, call Parker & Sons. We're the best of the best. We'll come out and we'll get that thing taken care of for you.